Morning.
We're into the swing of things.
So you come in this morning, and we've been talking about this, and you're
loving this outfit this morning, aren't you? You're loving it, aren't you? The Under Armour's doing it for you, isn't it?
So it's an interesting thing, right? Because you come in, first thing I notice, you're always outfitted in Under Armour. So I thought, and you notice this with folks. They go for a brand, like, the person who is Adidas is, all they're doing is Adidas. They come in, they got the Adidas shorts on, the singlet, the top, the training things, Nike, the same thing. You're the Under Armour guy, and I often walk by the Under Armour shop and I take a look and I go, oh man, that's really
You don't know the international rule?
No.
You can't wear mixed brands. It's either all Under Armour, it's either all Nike, or it's all Adidas. There's no mixture bag. No, I'm just playing. I've got Nike trainers on. So majority of clothing that I wear is Under Armour or Nike.
See, I'm heading towards Lululemon.
Okay, yeah. Do they do men's stuff?
Yes.
Well, I didn't know that.
Oh man, you know what? And it's funny because good old Steve Braden, Captain Steve, got me onto the Lululemon stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And
I didn't realise they done men's clothes.
Their shorts are ABC technology.
Okay. Oh.
Anti-ball crushing. It's on the label.
Oh, okay.
They do women's stuff, but they do men's, and some of their, I've like totally converted over. So you're taking a flight, you're going traveling. I got Lululemon pants because you never know when you're going to want to break into a workout. Well, not only do they look good to wear, but you could do a workout.
I'll have to have a look.
Oh yeah.
Zoe, she's always harping on about Lululemon, and they.
Look,
there's something about them yoga pants that make women's legs look slimmer as well. By the way, not that I'm having a go at Zoe or anything. No. Just they seem to fit a lot better than the other type of yoga type pants that I see, and the Nike is smart as well, trendy.
Just pull that mic down a little bit so we get
Is that better?
Yeah. We just want to get the full force of the Kev voice. No, but they do great stuff. And look, find your brand, find what you love, wear it. I love Lululemon stuff. Not necessarily the most inexpensive clothing you're ever going to buy.
It's expensive stuff, isn't it?
But even just a pair of regular shorts, I'll wear those. I've got a pair of Lulus on right now. Look, these are Lulus. Got my pair.
Yes.
And they've got some stretch in them. I'm not going to wear these out running, although you could. And they're just it's functional.
Functional shorts.
And then you head over and you got all your fitness stuff, and it's just I'm sold.
Yeah, I like the Under Armour stuff because whenever I bought it, it's been reasonably priced, but it's quite robust as well. Yeah. So and it's trendy and it's modern stuff. So it's
The Rock wears it.
And The Rock wears it. So there you go. It's good enough for him. It's good enough for me. Plus, a gym that I used to work for previously in the UK, they were sponsored by Under Armour.
Okay.
So we used to get all the equipment, clothing, trainers, pants, hoodies, skins, vests, t-shirts, the lot, bobble hats, socks,
everything.
They kitted us all out, and then they give us a code for the Under Armour site, so we've got 40% discount.
Do you still get that discount?
Not anymore.
No,
I know, painful,
but you still buy the stuff.
Yeah, but I stuck with it then because I like this equipment, I like this clothing, and then you get the outlet stores as well.
Right.
So there's they sell some good stuff, albeit 90% of it's not the best. You're getting the purple and green striped tops and all that sort of stuff, but they do a lot of good stuff, especially in the Dubai Outlet Mall. Yeah, okay. And it's obviously a little bit cheaper than the normal high street, so it's again a little bit more discount and it's reasonably priced as it is. So it's a win-win.
What do you do for trainers? What do you do for running shoes?
Trainers?
You a Nike guy? Nike?
Yeah. Under Armour / Nike.
Oh, see, I've never.
A bit of both on that.
I think Under Armour for clothes, but I see all their shoes, especially my son actually had some Under Armour shoes for CrossFit back in the day when he was doing CrossFit, but I've never gone in and said, I'm going to get a pair of trainers Under Armour. It just doesn't. It's the clothing brand, not a shoe brand.
Yeah, okay.
I have trouble with the computation of
You'll
that.
be surprised.
I know, I look at them.
A lot of good trainers in there.
Really?
Yeah, nice trainers. I'll sort of probably, I used to get given them for free, so that was a selling point, but they were more like training in the gym, quite robust, functional type trainers.
Yeah.
Whereas I'll sort of go in there and get like running type trainers now, which I'll wear during coaching.
Okay.
And
they're good for running? Like you could go and do a 10K?
Yeah, you could do, yeah.
Really?
There's some nice trainers in there, and then
because I see them all the time. Maybe I have to give it a second look. Are they? Because I tend to go Adidas or New Balance, but I want the wide ones.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking for a wide fit.
Okay.
So I don't tend to go near the Nikes.
Yeah, I've got quite wide feet as well, to be fair. So I'm a little bit, but I wear like for every day I'll have a pair of trainers for like just day to day. So I'll have Nike or / Under Armour. What's the coolest? I'll wear them.
There you go. You summed it up. It's in the elevator. I see people getting off and they got their things on and they got these great trainers. I'm going, I wonder if they've ever trained in the trainers.
Yeah, these are like me cool ones, and then when they're worn out a little bit, then they become the gym trainers. But I don't buy them with the intentions as gym trainers. I just buy them because they look cool. Yeah. But then if I'm gonna get like coaching type trainers, I'll get like some running type trainers. Okay. Because I know I'm running about when I'm coaching and stuff like that. So, and then that'll be Nike / Under Armour. But it's not. It's whatever looks the best. Probably what I look for, and I don't really go in and go, what's the most comfortable? I look aesthetically, what's the best looking. So that says a lot about me, I suppose. But in terms, so that I'll often just pick the best looking running shoes, and that's me. I'm not a massive like get me by a mechanic gate and got the highest heel and what's this, that. I'm not so much into that. I'm just like put these trainers on.
I never was either until I got this latest set of Adidas cushioned whatever running shoes, and they were just, and I thought, oh, these look really weird. So I got them.
The Adidas Boost, was it?
Yeah, the Adidas Boost. And I went for not the entry level model. They were on sale, so I said, you know what, I'm going to jump up to mid range. It's sort of on the cusp of being a high range running trainer, and I'm always, I'm just going to go with the most affordable and get this done with. Best move I ever made, and now I'm thinking, as someone who's buying these things, and you always look at the price tag and you kind of go, that's a lot of money. Yeah. And many times I go, really, is it any better? Now I realize, you know what, it is better. And these things...
It is often the case. The more you pay, the better quality and the better the thing is.
Just the amount of cushion. Yeah. And it's firm cushion, but when I put them on and I'm running, I notice the difference on my feet. And it's just, wow, this is night and day with
you can see the difference, yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? But as I said, it's like people... people are reluctant to pay the price. Yeah. But there's a reason it's that price. It's there's no way getting around it. Yeah. I often think to myself as well, like sometimes you go, I don't want to pay that for them set of trainers. I don't want to buy this sport equipment and pay this and pay that. And I think, well, why not? Because why don't you want the best in your sport? If that's all you do and that's all your hobby is, then why not have the best of the best for you and just like save paying, cut back in other areas? And I think to myself, what, in terms of equipment, how, clothing brands and clothing for coaching or whatever it may be, I think to myself, I don't mind paying out because I know that I do it day in, day out. Yeah. And this is, my job, my lifestyle. So I need to invest in more expensive clothes and shoes. And I look at it like that, so.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It really does make sense. I think sometimes we cheap out, but anyway. One last thing.
We all do. I'm terrible for it in the outlet, but I'm starting to get leaning more now to about investing a bit more, because sometimes I've been around the outlet mall and I've walked around 3-4 times. I'm thinking, I've got to find something, and then it's just like, no, it's just triple XL purple and green stripes. You know what? We've got
summer surprises will be knocking on our door very soon. Pre that, there will be some sales. It's keeping your eyes open on the stores that you frequent, even in the main malls. The prices will be knocking down very shortly, and you walk by one day and you see everything's 40% off, and you go in and you find your favorite shoes, and they're literally marked down 40%, and you're kind of going, wow.
The 2 Nike stores, there's one in the mall up by the Oriental Mandarin Hotel in the mall across the way, and that in comparison to the outlet mall in Dubai Outlet.
Isn't that the Mercado Mall?
I'm not sure. I can't remember the name of it, but it's chalk and cheese. Like the stuff that you get in there is double the price, and you can see the quality's better. And then the outlet's got nice enough tops, but it's just sort of like last year's, the out-of-date season type t-shirt and stuff like that. So
stuff was in the box from 4 years ago. We're going to get this stuff.
Yes, we'll sell it on there. It's like the chicken broth we spoke about. The carcass is being sold.
And we were talking about bone broth earlier.
Anyway, yeah.
The only good thing is, and I love shopping at the outlet stores too, but there comes a time I go in there and I find this thing that I really love, some obnoxious color, and you put it on, and it's like, and you can never find it again because it's 4 years old or it was
if you don't take it there and then, it's gone the next time, and then you won't ever do it again as well. So you got to be, if you want it, you've got to take it there and then as well. I mean, there's no way, oh my God, I might come back. No, you got to purchase it there and then, haven't you?
And sometimes you got to, if there's 3 or 4 of them, get them all, because I had this happen with American Eagle. I went in and they had this wonderful fluorescent yellow running top. Beautiful. Yeah. And I got one. I said, oh yeah, this is great. Maybe next year I'll get another one. Never seen them again, ever. Like clearly no one was buying them. That's why they were, marked down to next to nothing. I should have brought 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, 100% you should. You could, it'd be like Homer Simpson with him just in the cupboard, just pulling them on next one out. That's what it used to be like when I worked back in the village hotel. There's a guy I worked with, Mark, and we were convinced, because he'd come in off shift and he'd have the same clothes on. It's like, he'd be in the day, evening, anytime you seen him, he'd have the same village hotel equipment, like t-shirt and short pants on. And you think, I can imagine his cupboard, just t-shirts and hook trackies, the same on, just Homer Simpson style.
My son worked with a guy who was a total workaholic. I mean, not work, but his job required him to be there obnoxious hours. So this guy ordered, and he said he'd come in, the guy's always wearing a black t-shirt and, his jeans. He ordered all of his t-shirts on Amazon. He got them delivered in quantity, and he never washed them. He just wore them for, whatever, 3, 4 times, and then recycled it and pulled another one out of the drawer. And away. So he always had, all the clothes always looked the same. Saved on washing. And he started, I mean, it's not environmentally friendly to keep, but now there's people who recycle all that stuff. So, you put it in wherever, except it needs to be washed. But he would just, wear it and then, get rid of it.
People are weird, aren't they? Yeah, people are crazy, aren't they?
Yeah. I know, you're speechless, right? It's like, really? Throw in the machine.
He must have just been like, maybe, was he living in the workplace or something?
I don't know, I think so. Who knows? I knew a guy when I worked radio here, Bluebird, and he's on 91.1 if you're in Dubai. Okay. Go and give it a Tagalog station. And this dude, Bluebird, would come in, so he did the morning shift on the station. He would sleep in there overnight. Like I'd be leaving at 11 o'clock, he'd be arriving. Go, Bluebird, you got a house? He goes, yeah, but I got to be here early and the bus doesn't leave that early. So I sleep, he had a mattress, he had the whole bed. And I said, what do you mean you got it? He's like, yeah, I just sleep over on the floor here.
I was listening to a podcast and he was talking about sleep and the importance of it and having 7 to 9 hours. But apparently, if you stay in a different environment, your brain is still in this, it's built into this alert system.
Okay.
So your brain is still half awake in some ways. So you never really go into deep REM sleep, this recovery mode, because your mind is half active because you're in strange environments and it's built into the system to be like ready to, in case you get attacked. It's built in the system that you're half awake and ready. So what it meant was he would have been not sleeping properly, even though he probably might have felt it. Like in himself that he was feeling okay. But when if they were to really test him in his performance between shows, and if they did like performance type tests that could identify from one to the other after he's had a proper sleep at home in comparison to sleeping in the studio, he would have found that his performance levels would have been a lot lower. So when you go to hotels and you're staying at a friend's over for a week or whatever it may be, the mind is a funny thing. It doesn't allow you to go into that sleeplessness recovery mode because you're always constantly in that environment. I guess it takes a bit of time before you adjust to the new environment.
I guess that's when people go on vacations. It takes me a week to unwind.
Yeah.
Because your mind is just getting used to the new place.
So funny enough, people say, I'm going to go away to switch off and have a bit of time. But in other ways, you're not actually getting the restfulness and the sleep. You're restful, because you're not actually getting your proper sleep.
Interesting.
So
Might as well
the best
stay home.
thing you might say is stay at home.
Yeah.
And take a week and then go away. I don't know, or just stay at home.
Just stay at home.
Thought provoking, isn't it? It's
It is.
considerations, you know. So it's funny because sometimes you think you slept 8 hours, but I still feel like I don't feel, myself. And often the case is that your brain struggling to switch off, recover, get everything, ready for the repair and ready for the next day. It's because you're still in that wakefulness mode, and it's as a threat detective.
I love the informal study that I constantly do about how much sleep do we actually need. And the test is, okay, don't set your alarm. Go to bed at whatever time you do, maybe it's a little bit, and then see what time you wake up at. What time do you actually, you wake up and you go and have a pee, and then if you come back to bed, when time are you actually gonna sort of roll around in bed and go, I gotta get up? And I find it just amazing, because for me it's about 7:38 in the morning. But during a work week, I'm up at 5.
Yeah.
Well, on the weekend, I don't wake up till 8.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's funny, isn't it?
So then I start thinking of all the kids. I see school buses picking people up at 6:30. And I'm thinking,
what time are they going to bed?
We're setting up kids, we're setting up the teachers, we're setting up the staff. No one is in fighting form to go and learn, to go and be productive, because everyone needs more sleep.
Yeah, well, that's if they. Well, first of all, they need to go to bed earlier. Then that's the case, isn't it?
No one's going to bed earlier.
And no one's gonna.
Who's going to bed at 9 o'clock?
The argument. There's been tests and studies showing that where schools have started later in the day, the performance of the kids has been better, and they don't actually. Apparently, there's like 2 hours of sleep education into doctors. Learning and development. So it's not a massive research by the doctors and by the people. So it's never really given us a prescription. And there's a guy, Matthew, I forget his last name, he's a scientist from the US. He's from the UK, but he's a scientist at university in California. There's not the University of California, but it's a university there. And he says he's trying to now push for sleep to be as a prescription in medication. So it's not just given a tablet. It's not given a melatonin, that tablet that creates the darkness and puts you into that sleep mode. It's actually about finding out what time they go to bed. What time do you wake up? Can we think of interventions to help you before you go to bed? Can you get the longer recovery time? Because what you'll find is that's the pillar of everything, and if you get your recovery and you sleep right, then everything else, losing weight, movement, exercise, motivation will drive through the roof. And I think as well, he was saying how doctors would be a little bit reluctant at the minute, because they're sort of it's going against everything that has been given and prescribed for years. And so he's a big push behind it. I forget his last name, Matthew. I might have been Matthew Walker. I think I may have wrote it down. Matthew Walker is his name. Okay. And so a really good podcast. And that was on the Joe Rogan podcast. Okay. So it's a 2-hour podcast on all sleep benefits. He talks about how it's got to be 7 to 9 hours a night. Otherwise, your body doesn't perform to the levels that it can do and should do. So yeah, it's a very interesting one, worth a listen for everyone from all walks of life.
So I think this is, when we talk about health and well-being and we talk about fitness, it's a long-term interrelated activity.
Yeah, it is. It's all linked in, and
from diet to your rest to your activity, it's all linked together. Something gets off something gets out of the routine, it wrecks it.
It does.
Then we start wondering, why am I getting a sore back?
Yeah, and people all say, I don't need this amount of sleep. Well, there's a reason why. Well, it's the biggest failure from Mother Nature if we don't need the sleep, because why would it be built into the system to be able to for us to have it? So it's obviously there for a reason. And all the studies and the science behind it backs 7 to 9 hours, and if not, then the performance levels are reduced from there. So there's loads of things you could go on. I could go on about and talking about helping with you know, cells to kill cancers and fighting carcinogenics, and there's all these kind of things, and there's many things spoken about in that podcast that is so thought-provoking, and it's one of the best podcasts I've ever listened to.
Really?
Really.
All right.
Such
Matthew Walker
such
on Joe Rogan.
informative, and it's made me think I am never going to sleep less than 7 hours a night, 100%. Because I through college and through my personal training days and doing shift work, 210, 6-2, I never got 7 hours sleep. I had an 8-hour gap from one shift to the other, which was wrong in the first place because you got travel time to and from, and it shouldn't have been allowed to happen in the first place. But you get on with it, and you sort of don't. You like, you know, I'm strong enough to get through this, but it's counterintuitive because I'm the one who's shattered the next day.
Yeah.
These people as well, they're saying like, when you go to a study, say like there's a group, I don't know, in your university, for example, you said students in groups of 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And often these people who are getting less sleep are the ones who ride on the coattails of everyone else. They're less likely to be innovative, less likely to bring these ideas to the table. And then that links into business people, because if these business guys that are doing 4 or 5 hours sleep a night because they're such hard workers, and, you know, they're entrepreneurs, the pioneers of the next technological advancement, these guys are like, if they're getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep, well, actually, you're counteracting what you're trying to achieve, because if you doubled your sleep, you'd probably find that you'd be a lot more productive in your time, and there'd be better ideas coming to the table, and it would be. So it's food for thought, and it's definitely worth a listen, and it's definitely changed my mindset and how I've been, and I've often, as I said previously, been like very like, oh, I don't need that sleep, and I'm fine the next day. But then I think back to my patterns and everything over the years.
Starts going together when you start thinking about it.
Yeah, and I think,
why am I foggy? Why am I not feeling good? Why am my muscles all atrophied?
Picked up little, like, I've been like picked up little colds here and there. And I'm thinking, there's no coincidence. That was the time when this was a high pressure study time, or there's lots of things, and it starts thinking, and now I'm in a very, very good routine of sleeping. I get 7.5 hours, and day to day I am so much better and productive with my time. I get to the end of the day, 8, 9 o'clock, and I'm playing football, and I've been on the go since 6:30, and I've still got more energy than I previously have, and it's a game changer.
It's amazing. Sleep.
Absolute game changer.
Matthew Walker, Joe Rogan, give it a listen. You're going to like it. Hey, we do have a purpose here.
Yes, we do. There was a reason I turned up, wasn't it?
No, of course there's purpose, and we're satisfying that purpose having this chat, but we wanted to focus in a little bit on high intensity training because it's popular. And there's a lot of people will say, okay, you got to get out, you got to get the beach bod. The guys want to get into those, those Speedos for the summer, and the ladies want to get into the bikinis and say, well, how am I going to do that? HIIT training. HIIT
training, yeah. So not just a fad, there's a genuine benefits to this form of training.
So there is actual reasons to do it.
Yes, 100%. So it's I think it was around 2014 when it became quite a modern, latest thing on the fitness market. And then since then, it's always been commonplace now within within gyms, within personal trainers implementing.
You hear it all the time.
Yeah, you do. And it's not just it'll be here for the long term. So there's many benefits and there's many ways of implementing it. Benefits, you're working in shorter periods, so you can.
So describe it. So if someone's contemplating this, many people might already be doing it and don't even realize they are.
High intensity interval training. Okay. So it's about a lot shorter bursts of high intensity from 80% heart rate up to 95% heart rate.
So that's putting yourself right out there.
It's up there, and then that coincides with a recovery period, which is active or passive recovery, and it's just a case
What's the difference?
Active is keeping on the move, lower intensity, low jog, slight jog. Okay. Passive is just standing still. So they're the two differences.
Sounds passive. Just it just speaks wrong to me.
Yeah, well, it depends probably on your fitness level and where your heart rates are and the time it takes to reduce and whether you like to just keep moving or whether you're a person that stands still. So probably depends on the fitness level and the individual and their preferences. So high intensity, 80 to 95% heart rate, you're looking and then into a recovery period of 40 to 50% heart rate.
All right.
So you can wear a heart rate monitor for that, which links up to a watch.
Are you a heart rate monitor guy? Are you big into the heart rate monitors?
Not really, but if people are conscious of, you know, often you can just tell from your own breathing and your own
just sit there and do the
they hold the pulse,
yeah, 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, even that you don't need to. I would say, you know, if you don't want to invest in heart rate monitors, you can just go. It doesn't have to be exactly in that zone. It can just be high intensity, low intensity, and that's the basic ways. But they're the exact percentages that they say to reach in. Now, these intervals can be done from 5 seconds up to 8 minutes. So these work periods, obviously the longer you work, the lower the intensity will be.
Okay, gotcha.
For example. This can be done there's a number of protocols, there's a number of ways it can be done. It can be done in 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. It can be done in 30 seconds on, 1 minute off, you know, and it depends on the fitness levels. So
you say you're always coming back to that. Depends as you get involved in any of these things. So you're going to go into high intensity interval training. You can't just jump in right at the top. You got to work it's bespoke.
100%.
Everyone's different.
And that's what the better trainers will do, is consider that a sedentary person that's first through the door has never done anything to someone that's a weekend warrior, as you described previously, you know, but has got half decent fitness levels. People, often these circuit type gyms will go in and go, right, we're doing 10 at stations, full body circuit, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. How are them two going to even compete? It's not, you know, it's not feasible. It's not, and that's why it's probably better to have a trainer, because going into group circuits, it's very difficult to manage the two. But then it's got to be the right trainer that knows how to progress things and move on from there. But so you have your work high intensity periods, you have your low intensity periods. Now, the fitness levels, as I've been talking about, you could say, okay, so if it's a high intensity interval session for someone that's of a decent fitness level, let's go 30 seconds all out, 30 seconds off. Then if we want to increase that intensity, we might go 20 seconds recovery, 15 seconds recovery. They're doing 3 rounds of it. It could be 8 to 10 exercises, 2-3 minutes recovery in between. And then for someone that's of a new fitness level, that's come into, is new to exercise, they can still do the HIIT, but it's just delivered in the right way. So it could be, it might be a lower intensity. So we're only hitting around 80% heart rate. It's lower exertion. They're working for 20 seconds, they get a minute off.
Great, gotcha.
They work for 20 seconds, they get a minute off. You know, and we move between stations. Again, to make the intensity driven up a little bit, it can be, there's 2 different ways you can do this. You can do cardio type exercises where you're on the rower and you might be doing rower for 20 seconds, have a minute off, 20 seconds. And ultimately it's about getting your heart rate to spike and then come back down. Go up, come back down. And that's why the bigger recovery periods for the more, the less of, the fitter you are, the quicker your heart rate comes down. That's the ultimate sign of fitness.
And where does this lead us to if we're doing high intensity interval training? Is this going to give us more stamina?
Yes. So the benefits are increased fitness levels, increased stamina, increased cholesterol profile. Insulin sensitivity. These are all things that are going to come into play. And also it drives the metabolism as well. So what actually happens is when you're working, it's like an oxygen deficit afterwards, and you're still breathing and your heart and lungs are still working post-session and your metabolism's revved up. So post-HIIT session, you're still burning calories. So these are the benefits. How
long do you have that afterburn time? How long is...
It's probably going to... Well,
it depends on everyone, right?
Yeah, it depends on your own individual metabolism, but it can last up to hours.
Really?
Yeah, it can still, because you're kickstarting that metabolism, you find it up, and then what you find is the more muscle you got, the faster your metabolism works.
Okay.
So I think I mentioned that previously, and so more muscle, more metabolism, the quicker your metabolism, more weight loss. So it's harder for your metabolism to work. So that's why it's always good to implement strength training. And this can be done with, HIIT training can be done on cardio equipment, rowers, bikes, runners, 20 seconds on, 1 minute off. Again, you consider that person, cycling is easier than running. So you might say, okay, let's do cycling in the sense that you're seated, there's less pressure on the knees, cross trainers, many benefits. You can do it in a shorter condensed time in comparison to doing 50 minutes of moderate exercise. So, or they can do the other side of things, which is bodyweight exercises. But you get the strength included in this as well.
And you can still do high interval intensity training with weights, okay?
Yeah, with weights or body weight.
Body weights, yeah.
So it's like
push-ups, sit-ups.
Yes, push-ups.
Chin-ups.
Yes, all these type of things. And then it's manipulating the timing, depending on the fitness levels. A good example for a person new to the gym and wanting to try this HIIT stuff could be, they go in, they do 3 sessions a week. It could be one, they could have a high intensity or a low intensity on a Monday. Wednesday's a low intensity, and then we have Friday, which is a high intensity again. And then all they would do is maybe 10 to 20 minutes, and you just do on the rower, one session could be the rower or the cross trainer or the bike, and you do 20 seconds on, 1 minute off. And then you tailor that depending on how you feel in exertion levels. 20 seconds on, 1 minute off. This includes a little 5-minute warm-up, a little 5-minute cool down, and then by the end of it, you've done 20, 30 minutes.
So that's not bad. So 20, that's all it takes? 20, 30 minutes, 3 times a week, and I can probably start to see some results. 100%.
And then in the Wednesday could be a lower intensity, so they might go, okay, we're gonna not exert yourself as much with the heart rate. We'll maybe go on the cross trainer, not exert yourself much. We'll go maybe a little bit longer recovery time, but we'll still have quite a 20 seconds where we're going to still work hard, but maybe not as hard as we did on the Monday session. This is on the Wednesday or whatever. And then the Friday you could go again, 20 on, 1 minute off. And then this could be manipulated. It could be 20 on, 1.5 minutes off. You know, it just depends on that person, that fitness level. But then high spikes on pushing yourself, it's apparently said, I think it was, there was a study where there was a 1 minute workout.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of these.
Right, and they did this study where it was 20 seconds on, 1 minute off, 3 times, and they did that 3 times a week. And apparently that was more beneficial than the person that done 50 minutes of consecutive moderate exercise through the week.
Interesting.
So there's the straight away that's okay. So, and this has been around for years, but just implemented in different ways. There's been like runners and people who've done like sprints and then sprints and recovered. Then it's been like Olympians that have used this, but it's never been called probably what it's called now. Which leads me on to Tabata training. That was another one. So this is, you probably heard Tabata, which is a HIIT training, and it's just another form of protocol of a HIIT training. There's different ways of implementing. The Tabata training is 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. Now this is very difficult for most people.
Well, how many reps are we doing? How many reps are we doing in that?
Well, in 20 seconds you probably get 5-6 reps out, depending. You know. But what they're saying is heart rate spikes, heart rate recovers. Now, obviously, you can imagine 10 seconds going to, for the majority of people, for that to reduce, it's going to take a lot of, it's going to be a lot harder for the majority of people.
Sure.
So it's a Japanese scientist called Tabata. His last surname was Tabata, I forget his first name. And he come up with this study where it was 4 minutes of work, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. The heart rate spikes, it recovers. It was 4 lots of 4 minutes. Right. And this Tabata, I do Tabata quite a bit.
This is your thing.
Yes, this is my thing, and that is another protocol of training. But obviously, it's a sliding scale of doing HIIT training can be done by all. Yeah. It's just delivered in the right manner, as I always talk about, the right timings, the right. It's bespoke to the individual. Yeah. You know, and HIIT training can be done. It's more time efficient, half an hour. You know,
I like that idea.
10-minute blocks. It's more fun. Yeah. It's not just continuous, moderate. You know, even if you go on a run, you could even just do running down the road. You could do like 3 to 3.
You know, that's
20-second blast.
That's almost what I do. I do about a minute. I'm running out at a nice pace, and then I do about 25-second walk, then a moderate pace, and partially it's because the dog likes to stop. So we've just worked it into the time, and he's just going, okay, so we're going to go all out, and it really, I find it really works, and it kind of cuts. The big thing with this kind of training, if you're following your pattern and if you're sticking to it, it can help to reduce injuries.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I'm shocked, because then when I just go to I'm just going to go do a 5K run, 10K run, I find I develop more challenging things, little things that creep in, and let's just call them injuries, that I don't get when I'm doing an interval training style workout. It's
That's
weird.
it, and it's a different form of training. It's not just the monotony of running for 50 minutes continuous, and that 3-minute study, 1-minute study that I spoke about the 3 times. That 50 minutes was 3 times a week as well. Wow. So they were saying that them intervals were more effective than that. So massive benefits to it. Highly recommend it. If you're just starting out with HIIT training, start with a lower time working period. Have bigger recovery periods. Maybe 10 minutes might be your first time, then next time might be 15 minutes. 20 to 30 seconds maybe if you can manage it, or 15 up to 30 seconds, that might be more manageable. 80 to 95% heart rate, recovery, minute and a half, let it drop down to 40-50%. That can either be done standing or just with a light cycle or wherever you may be doing, running, whatever. And then 3 times a week, 6 weeks. And then you can over that time start to then build it into a moderate intensity program for 6 weeks. This is just for the beginning I'm talking. And then it might be that they do in only 1-minute recovery and they worked up to 30 seconds. Right. And then it starts to then flip, and obviously the recovery time reduces, the intensity increases from there. And then that can be coinciding with like a HIIT session bodyweight training, which could be, I don't know, what have I wrote down here? I come up with 8 exercises. It could be a press up, 20 seconds on, 1 minute off, press ups, step ups, pull ups, squats, dips, burpees, rows, as in a TRX row.
Okay, hold on.
See we're getting that.
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to write this down. So let's go. The first exercise.
First up, press ups.
Okay, so that's just
normal push-ups. To make it easier, you incline your body. So the higher you are, you can even do from a door frame and do a push-up. Okay. Now, the lower your body is, more parallel to the floor, the harder it's going to be. And then to make it more difficult, you put your feet higher, so then it's into a decline position.
Are we talking a minute on, 20 seconds off?
You can do this in a number of ways. This can be done in 30 seconds on, 1 minute off, and it depends on the level again. 30.
So rank amateur, beginner, someone who's just...
20, 30 seconds.
Okay. 30 on, 30 off.
Yeah.
Okay.
30, well, depends. Again, this depends. This could be 30 seconds on, 45 to 1 minute off.
Okay.
And then...
How many reps am I doing?
Well, in that time, 30 seconds, you're probably going to get about 8 to 10 reps around that.
So if I'm doing 30 seconds on, a minute off, how many times am I going to do that?
What you're going to do is you're going to go from, there'll be 10 stations.
Okay, so I'm going to go, all right.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
So it would be like a push-up into step-ups. Which would be
how high do you want me to step up?
Step up, well, depends what you have available to you. I'm talking step ups as in like strength type exercise rather than a little step where you...
So we're talking a good 2 feet kind of thing if you can find that.
Yeah, stepping up onto...
Like a stepping stool or...
Something like that. Okay. Yeah, that's a good
getting some height.
Yeah, getting height, stepping right up. Then you could go into door frame rows or...
So what is that?
So, squat position. Arms on either side of the door, pull yourself in, pull yourself back. If you can get 2 chairs, get underneath, pull yourself in, pull yourself up. Okay? Anything like that. So number 3, door frame or pulls, inverted row you could call it.
Okay.
Squats 4.
Now squat is just your basic everyday.
Yeah.
Keep your back straight.
Shoulder width apart.
Yeah.
Sit back as if you're sitting into a chair.
So make sure your posterior is going right. Yeah.
Yeah. Shoulder blades pulled back.
Which sounds easy, but they're hard. They can be.
They can be hard. And these can be made into a little bit more cardio based because the squat could be a jump squat as well. So a little bit more of a higher intensity spike. Heart rate raiser.
Okay, gotcha.
Dips.
Okay, what?
Not salsa. We're talking. We're talking normal off the bench, off a chair, off the couch, elbows bend to 90 degrees and below.
Where are my legs?
Legs are straightened out.
Okay, so
bend them if you want to make it easier.
Yeah.
Closer your knees are to the joint, to the hip joint, the easier it's going to be. The straighter the legs, the harder it's going to be. You want to keep vertical as possible, chest nice and upright, sorry, and don't let your shoulders round forward.
That's a big one. That's what always happens.
But if you do that, you put a lot of pressure on your shoulder joint. So you want to keep nice and close to the bench or chair or wherever you're doing it on, and then let yourself drop it. Treat it as a vertical movement rather than horizontal. So we're not going forwards, we're moving up and down.
I want to go back up to the press ups, the push ups. One of the big things I always notice with people is bad hand position. So not close enough to shoulders. I mean, there's lots of different variations.
Yeah, there's different variations.
But I notice sometimes people have their hands really too wide. They've got them, if you keep your push-ups and you keep your hands right around shoulder
just a bit wider than shoulders.
But if you keep them sort of at the shoulder positioning, as opposed to sometimes people do them, it's a totally different thing.
Correct. Yes.
And I find sometimes people just...
Yeah, it just changes the biomechanics of the movement and the pressure on the shoulder joint or the chest, recruitment to the muscle fibers, and the closer it is, the more you get your triceps involved, the wider it is. You're going to recruit the chest a bit more, but the joint's further away, so then it's more difficult away from the body. So just a bit wider than shoulders, in line with the shoulders, roughly the hands are a bit wider, and elbows go down to 90 degrees, and just making sure there's a straight line through the body from the heel right through to the head.
Sometimes when I'm doing these things, if I haven't done them in a while, I get a shake on. And it's easy. The hips drop, and you kind of think, oh man, like really?
Yeah, that's it. The muscles just literally the actin and myosin, these little fiber heads are joining and contracting, and as they contract and make the muscle contract, they're actually connecting on and then dropping off and connecting and dropping off, and that's why we're shaking. As they move through.
Yeah. There's nothing better though when you start off, you give yourself like 3 weeks and you're going through and doing these routines. By the 3rd week, you kind of go, man, I've developed some strength. I can do more.
Yeah. It's great, isn't it?
That's a really good measure because you need to see the progress.
Subjective measure, isn't it? You can see that you're making progress.
Yeah.
And it's been around for years. The king, isn't it? The king of the exercises, the push up, the press up, the interchangeable term. But to make it harder, as I said, you put your feet higher.
Oh yeah.
And then to make it easier, you just do it from a higher angle, which is inclined, and the reason I don't like telling people to go to the knees, because it doesn't get your core engaged. I'd rather them do it from an inclined position that's suitable to them to get more core engagement rather than bending the knees and dropping down. I hate seeing that happen. So that's why I always recommend. So you've got your
push-ups, step-ups, door frame rows,
squats, dips, burpee, the king of the exercise, just to give a little bit of a high intensity. But the good thing on this is it's working everything: chest, shoulders, lower body, back as you step, as you're jumping down to the floor. And also, it can be regressed and progressed. The progression can have a tuck jump at the top. The regression is you break it down into stages. You step down into a squat, you put one hand on the floor, you put the other hand on the floor, you step your right leg back, you step your left leg back in a straight line in a plank position. You bring your right leg in, your left leg in, you step up, hands off the ground, stand up, you go back down. literally regressions can be done for everything.
I like that.
Just delivered in the right manner, and knowing, and you know, because people go, oh, burpees, like, you know, and they're brilliant, but it would be very naive of me to go to someone who's like a beginner, do burpees, do it like everyone else. You need to, the better people, coaches will regress and progress, and there needs to be level systems to exercises and tiers, so you can challenge with the right stimulus for the right individual. And you again can regress depending on the level of fitness.
More reason to have a trainer.
100%.
I mean, sure, like you can do all these on your own. You can go get Men's Health and Men's Fitness and go online. There's any number of...
And these magazines as well, by the way.
Tons.
They're Men's Health and Men's Fitness. It's selling fads and the wrong thing, information. They're ill-informed, and that's another one. Yeah, so...
I mean, I think their hearts are in the right place and they're thinking in the right place, but it's applying it. And there's a whole big difference when you're talking, I'm going to start doing this. Like I said, just positioning of things.
Yeah.
And just having someone watch you and say, hey, you know what, we're going to dial that back a little bit.
Yeah.
I can see you struggling. I can see the position changing. And it just makes a lot of sense.
How many people go in the gym and do the same workout every day and every week? Oh, I do this way. I bet you, like most people I speak to, I could go, well, what's your workout in the gym? Or they'll tell me, when I used to work in the gym, they'll tell me that, I do this, I do this, I do that. But they'll do that 3 times a week, every week, like all through the year. And it's like, but you need to, your body adapts to every stimulus placed on it, so you need to progressively go heavier. You need to change the exercises. You need to change the volume, increase the weight. You know, all these number of things, and that's where the personal trainer or the coach comes into play, and that's where they think is outside the box of things. And often a case, I'll like give someone a program of 6 weeks, and I'll go through the session. They'll go away, do the program, and then come back and see me in 6 weeks, and then I'll reset. And you know, and then
that's a good way to do it. I never even think about doing things.
You know, rather than having to see someone where it's 3 times a week, where it is costly for some people. That's another way of people will do things as well.
Oh, that's a really interesting
one.
So push-ups, step-ups, door frames, squats, dips, burpees.
Now we can do pull-ups again. This is if you have a pull-up bar of some sort of bar to pull up on, or anything in the home.
I am useless at pull-ups.
It's a difficult one to do, but if you can use like. There's resistance, like in the garden, I've got resistance bands where you can hook on stuff and then pull yourself up from, and just link in and put your knee in and put your foot in, and it works as a
the resistance bands really changed things.
Oh, they've only come into play as well in the last few years, but they'll be here for a long time. They're brilliant. There's a lot of like they get used because the assistant muscles when you're doing movements as well. Not only do they support and give you assistance in exercises, but also there's benefits where you'll see people doing like deadlifts and lifting up, and like the synergistic muscles, which are the supporting muscles, are engaged a little bit more. So there's added benefits to them exercises as well. So there's a number of good things that have come from these resistance bands. They'll be here to stay, 100%. Nice. So we got burpees, we got rows, pull-ups. Pull-ups, sorry, it was pull-ups,
pull-ups,
And then the last one you could say for the HIIT exercise could be mountain climbers.
Oh, I hate those.
So, again...
Describe mountain climbers.
Mountain climbers. Plank position. Knees drive up to the elbows. Keep the body straight. Don't let the hips rise. Don't let the hips sag.
That's where I always go. I'm always
the bums end up, folding point like that.
Yeah, I'm the mountain.
So, keep it straight. Knees up to elbows. Keep a straight line through the body. Progression. Go faster. It can be made harder where we can go into a squat thrust. So the intensity, the squat thrust is jumping in with the knees to the elbows and back out.
Yikes.
You know, the regression, hold the plank, little burst of knees, regress, hold it, 5 seconds. Then you go into a burst of knees to chest, knees to elbows, regress. Go from there. There's 8 exercises there, so that could be done, again, 30 seconds on, 1 minute off, or 30 to 45 seconds. It just depends on the individual. It's about trying to get the heart rate up and then letting it recover and come down. So if if it's a beginner, you might say, all right, 30 seconds on, we're going to have 45 seconds to a minute recovery. If they're a bit more advanced, we go 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Okay, a normal squat is easy for you. Let's do a squat jump. Okay, the burpee, we can progress and do a tuck jump at the top. And then there's a number of exercises there that could be changed from mountain climbers to squat thrusts. Press up could be a plyometric press up. Step ups could be a bit of a jump at the top.
Okay.
You know, to get the heart rate up as well. And then again, let the heart rate spike down. And then if you're looking to make this more of a cardio type workout, the cardio type, the difference is instead of a HIIT session, the heart rate stays quite high for a prolonged period.
Right.
So what you don't want to do is have 30 on, 30 off, and the heart rate stays high the whole time, because then that's not HIIT training. So, you know, so you've got to let the heart rate come down, because if you keep it prolonged, it's then more aerobic, and it's a different energy system, and it's different. It's not HIIT training. It's not high intensity interval training. Interval is on, interval is off. Interval is on, interval off. And that's why the consideration for the recovery time comes in line with the individual.
Right, gotcha.
From there.
I just like the idea of variety, so you don't get bored. So even something like this, like you said, and I love the suggestion. Never even occurred to me. It's like, okay, working out, you know, getting together with a trainer every week, 3 times a week, that might be a little bit of a push, but I can figure out once a week or once, you know, maybe we set up a program, get it all going, then I'll meet you next month.
Yeah.
And well, let's see where we're at, or I'll meet you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and check in with them.
Yeah, what a great way to do it. Never even thought of that. I wonder how many other people are thinking, oh, I'm committing to a trainer, and maybe this trainer would be willing to work in a different way, simply because, you know, I think time is what gets into a lot of people's...
And then sometimes people would go on their own, because they've been educated enough to know what the ways of progressing training on their own. So that's another thing, you know. So
I love the checkup. And so that whole thing where someone's watching you do your push-ups and go, okay, you know, hold on. They're watching, because you don't see it, and you don't feel it, and then you get into a rut doing it the wrong way, and you're not feeling.
You're reinforcing bad movement patterns, then, aren't you? And that's another good thing about someone being there on hand, and also with the whip in hand as well.
Yeah.
To make it get down that way. You know, so it is about being accountable and having someone there for some people, and having the motivation. And it is harder to go away and have the program, but for people who can't commit to that, or the cost is of too much to them, or whatever it may be, then it's a feasible way for some.
And at the end of the day, just get started. And I think, you know, having a goal and just saying, hey, this, you know, looking at this saying, I can do this.
That's another thing you've made me think there is. You can do this 3 times a week, but that doesn't mean that you've covered all your bases of exercise for the week. That, you know, this, I believe it's like they recommend like 75 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity a week. So what that means is if you did 3 HIIT sessions, that's 60 minutes. So it's about not just thinking, oh, well, this is everything. You know, it's trying to, can we be a bit more active with moving, with walking, and also, you know, just move more. Get it all linked together. This will benefit you massively. I'm a massive advocate of it, and don't just put all your eggs into that one basket and think I only need to do 3 sessions a week. You need to be more aware that you need to move a little bit more through the week and day to day, and just think in terms of calorie consumption, that if I know that I'm going out in the evening for a dinner that is probably going to be higher calories than what I would normally eat, then just cut back elsewhere in the day.
Okay.
That's
simple.
It. Yeah. You don't need to actually diet and be like, I cannot eat this and I cannot have this. It's just be like, okay, well, I've had this now and I know that's high in calories. So I'm just going to eat less at dinner. And it's as simple as that. And as more calories you expend in comparison to what you consume, you will lose weight. The more you consume,
there we go. You know,
and the less you move, the more weight you'll gain.
And you know what? It's a simple one. This is the crazy one. So many people around this time are, oh man, I got to lose weight and this and that. And it's like, how much are you drinking? And I'm not talking fizzy drinks. I'm talking, you know, fortified, you know, alcohol.
Yeah.
How much are you drinking?
Yes, it's all. And people put things down to, I put weight on because I've ate this.
Yeah.
It's the red meat.
Yeah, it's the red meat.
It's the red meat. It's this. But what about like the bread that comes with it?
Yeah,
And
don't eat the bread.
yeah, and the
Don't have the second glass.
the fries that come with it, and everything else. Sometimes it's hidden calories that people don't realise and not aware to, and if they broke it back and looked at it, they go, gosh, wow. You know, I'm consuming quite a lot there without even realising.
Exactly.
You know, so
think about things.
be more conscious of decisions and calorie consumption. Try and move a little bit more. Try and, you know, be encouraged to work with a trainer, a coach, and try and just, you know, belong and be with a group of friends that help you and push you and be around positive people, and it'll all drive you in the right direction.
There we go.